Part 2 Episode 19. It was already too late for Lawrence's assistance. All of this happened too fast. Just now he was sent flying very far away. He was too far away from Xiao Chen. The void power wouldn't be able to reach this area. As for Rowena, who was at the sideline, she didn't have that kind of power. But just at this time, 3 streaks of white light rushed into the sky like 3 streaks of lightning. The 3 skeletons that didn't make a move until now finally made their move after Xiao Chen was caught up in danger. Since the battle began until now, the 3 fellows watched at the sideline. They were unusually calm. It seemed like they were looking for the evil spirit's weak point. Bang! They bumped into the evil spirit at the same time. 6 bony claws violently tore apart the burial cloth and saved Xiao Chen from the dangers of being wrapped. At the same time, Xiao Chen quickly took action. After his legs clashed a few times with the evil spirit's legs, he sent a horizontal slash towards the evil spirit's throat with his left hand. By the time they landed on the ground, Xiao Chen's right palm had already broken free from the burial cloth. The 3 skeletons split up and tore the burial cloth from 3 different directions. They wanted to tear it apart from the evil spirit's body. The burial cloth was a bizarre cursed item. The 3 skeletons had seen everything clearly, and Xiao Chen already had a profound understanding. He almost paid a huge price because of this just now. He also started to tear the evil cloth that was covered in black bloodstain. The black netherworld light flickered. The burial cloth actually let out a screech. It was an incomparably mournful screech. Just hearing it caused people's scalp to feel numb. The black fog violently rolled over and over in this alley. Shriek! The evil spirit seemed very anxious. The burial cloth trembled violently in hope of destroying Xiao Chen and the rest. Just at this time Lawrence also rushed over. The overlapping space enveloped it again. The green rays of light made the evil spirit felt as if it was caught up in a swamp. Quick! Pull the burial cloth apart. He is not as strong as we thought. His power came from this evil cloth. Xiao Chen yelled at Lawrence. He was able to uncover this secret during close combat. It was the burial cloth which granted the evil spirit this kind of power. What? The burial cloth? Lawrence kept sending the green-colored void power to confine the burial cloth and pulled it outward with all his might. The evil spirit bellowed in rage. The burial cloth that covered its face was already torn apart by Luanhui Wang. Half of its rotten face was exposed. Eerie green light emitted from its eye sockets, and the messy blood-colored hair was spiky. This kind of rotten corpse was especially intimidating. It was a genuine evil spirit. The evil spirit was getting desperate. If the burial cloth was torn apart, his power will diminish substantially. He struggled intensely, and then spouted a few yellowish gas from his mouth. It transformed into a glaring light sword that attacked Xiao Chen and Lawrence. This was the strongest demonic qi he accumulated in his body. It forced Xiao Chen and the rest to fall back. The evil spirit screeched loudly. The instant Xiao Chen and Lawrence were forced to take a step back, he shook the burial cloth with all his might. The inexhaustible aura of death spread all over the place. The black fog rolled and pushed Qingguang Wang, Yang Lua Wang, and Luanhui Wang away in an instant. The 3 skeletons' framework collapsed and scattered on the street. The white bones all over the ground were especially unpleasant to the eyes. Xiao Chen was downhearted, but his tension immediately loosened up after he noticed that framework was not destroyed. They were just separated from the joints, and he actually saw Qingguang Wang's skull flickering with specks of radiance. It seemed to be telling him that they were fine. 3 cunning skeletons. Xiao Chen no longer worried about them. The evil spirit viciously gazed at Xiao Chen and Lawrence. Then it dragged its rotten legs and walked towards them in large strides. Traces of yellowish dead water was left on the surface of the ground. Its full attention was focused on the 2 people ahead. But just at this time, when he was about to get past the 3 skeletons' skull, the skulls jumped up at high speed and shot towards the evil spirit like 3 streaks of white light. At the same time, Xiao Chen and Lawrence also made their moves. A blazing sword qi and light rain enveloped the evil spirit. The evil spirit let out a screech. It waved one demonic claw towards the 3 skeletons' skull. The other demonic claw was used to fend off Xiao Chen and Lawrence's attack. As expected, the skulls were sent flying by him, but 3 spiritual light shot out from the skulls like 3 streaks of lightning and pierced the evil spirit's eyes. Like it received a devastating attack, the evil spirit suddenly fell to the ground while facing upwards. It rolled around like crazy on the alley. Without any delay, Xiao Chen rushed over quickly and grasped the burial cloth firmly. And then he pulled it in one breath. The burial cloth flipped over, it produced a flapping sound, and gave rise to thick black fog. It finally separated from the body of the evil spirit. Lawrence also rushed over and used void power to confine the burial cloth in a tiny space. After losing the burial cloth, the evil spirit's body was completely exposed. It was a truly frightening scene. Half of its body was completely swollen, it was already rotten. And the other half was like a dried-up tangerine skin. The parched skin was sticking to the framework, which gave off a black light. It was sinister and scary. The evil spirit was still rolling on the ground. Xiao Chen took a step forward. He stepped on the evil spirit's neck ruthlessly. With a snap, the sinister ghost head tumbled down. At the same time, 3 spiritual light rushed out from the evil spirit's eyes, and entered 3 skulls on the ground. The evil spirit, which had its head and body separated, still did not become motionless. It actually struggled to get free. Its headless body stood up straight, and pounced on Xiao Chen as fiercely as before. After losing the burial cloth, it was far weaker than its former self. It was already unable to threaten Xiao Chen's life. Xiao Chen jumped high into the sky, he moved his hands unceasingly, and then threw the seal downward with all his might. A blazing divine radiance descended, and then with a boom, the evil spirit was torn apart. Even though they knew the evil spirit wouldn't pose any threat to them after losing the burial cloth, Lawrence was still very shocked to see this killing move of Xiao Chen. He couldn't help but ask, "Why did I never see you use this killing move before?" Xiao Chen descended from the sky and said, "How would I dare to use it before? This is a technique I saw on the fence around the divine monolith. It seemed to be the legendary God Slayer technique. I never practiced it before. How would I dare to use it on the evil spirit? Just now I felt there was no more dangers, so I'm just using it as a test." Who could have thought that the God Slayer technique was this powerful? Indeed, the better secret technique requires one with compatible ability to exhibit its full potential. Is that so? Lawrence smiled slightly with his somewhat sickly yet handsome face. He had recorded many diagrams regarding the space from the fence at that plaza. It will surely be beneficial if given some time. And Xiao Chen had also recorded quite a few killing moves. Not only was there the God Slayer technique, there were also the chaotic 3-way patterns, 8 laws of demon suppression, etc. After the evil spirit was ripped apart, the black fog dissipated quickly. Rowena and Yang Qingcheng also came closer at this time. They felt very fearful just looking at the remains on the ground. And Xiao Chen destroyed the head with another attack. Lawrence opened up the sealed space and threw the burial cloth onto the ground. All of them could feel a bizarre energy fluctuation. Yang Qingcheng was watching this battle from the sideline all along. She seemed somewhat excited. She couldn't help but start to talk. This burial cloth was handed down from ancient times. Not only was it still in good condition to this day, it is bearing a frightening demonic qi and powerful energy. It was definitely stained by the blood of an extraordinary figure. Not bad, it was definitely encroached by the blood of a super powerful experts. Otherwise it wouldn't be this terrifying and bizarre. Lawrence spoke until here, then he turned his attention to the 3 skeletons at the side, and said, "It was thanks to the 3 of them. Otherwise, we would be in a really dangerous situation just now. It never occurred to me that their spiritual lights are so strong. This is clearly a sign that they will be able to evolve into sovereign kings." The 3 skeletons slowly assembled their framework. After that, they stretched their joints comically. But everyone clearly looked at them differently now. These 3 skeletons were definitely a perfect example of disguising oneself as swine to eat the tiger. Was it really a ghost? I couldn't feel any soul fluctuation from their body, Lawrence whispered to himself. The condition of his injury was getting worse after this battle, he seemed a little weak. Xiao Chen also pondered for a while before he opened his mouth and said, maybe it was because the baleful aura in the ghost town was too heavy, which stirred up the residual thoughts within those corpses, and took shape of such a terrifying evil spirit. Perhaps. The ghosts in the folklore were formed like this. Soon after, their gaze fell back to the burial cloth again. Judging from how easily Xiao Chen destroyed the evil spirit in the end, the evil spirit was not really that strong. The only reason they were unable to defeat it in the beginning was because this blood-stained burial cloth increased the power of the evil spirit. This adult evil spirit is not much stronger than the young evil spirit we eliminated earlier. It was only because of this cursed item. How do we deal with it? Lawrence asked Xiao Chen. In regards to this kind of demonic item that was filled with fiendish aura, no one had a favorable impression of it. Nobody was willing to use it as weapon. It didn't seem too likely for it to be refined either. Perhaps only an evil spirit would be able to refine it. How about giving it to the three of you? Xiao Chen looked towards Qingguang Wang and the other two skeletons. The three skeletons moved their jaws unceasingly. They waved their hands to refuse. At the same time, the lotus insignia on their foreheads emitted resplendent divine radiance. It made their framework appear as bright as the white jade, not a single trace of sinister aura could be found. On the contrary, they looked like the most perfect masterpiece under the heaven. All of them thought it was weird, skeletons brimming with divine aura, it was really strange. In the end, they used a slab to cover the burial cloth in the alley, then they quickly left this place. But, when they were about to turn at a corner, Xiao Chen clearly heard the door of a former residence opening with a creak. He suddenly turned around to take a look. He only saw a man wearing ancient cloth. He pulled that burial cloth from under the slab quickly, and floated back into the former residence. In that instant, Xiao Chen felt a chill down his spine, because he saw the real face of that person clearly in the last second. It was actually a legendary immortal that had a golden statue in the human world. But, within that instance, he didn't feel any immortality on the other party's body. He also didn't feel any soul fluctuation, there was only a sinister baleful aura. Xiao Chen quickly caught up with Lawrence and the rest, leaving that alley behind him. However, he was unable to remain calm. Just what kind of place was this ancient city? Why? Why did it become like this? Just now, he definitely didn't see wrongly. His state of mind fluctuated violently, he thought of many possibilities, but he didn't tell Lawrence and the rest what he saw earlier, because that will only increase the anxiety. They pushed their way through the ancient street. Xiao Chen became more cautious than ever. They remained at a respectful distance from the door of every former residences. It was hard to say what would be hiding in the former residence. It was even harder to predict what kind of dangers exist in this ancient city. All of a sudden, waves of yelling noise entered their ears. The sound of battle was transmitted from an ancient street not far away. It seemed like there were quite a few people. The line is empty, sit empty, silent movement are all empty. It would go head to head. Like the cranial longitudinal sword cut spring. Xiao Chen heard Buddhist Asian's voice. He walked out from this alley, and looked towards that ancient street. He only saw 7 to 8 practitioners having a fierce battle with 2 yin warriors. Buddhist Asian and solitary sword demon were among them. They had laid down their desire for revenge at this moment, and worked together to confront a powerful enemy. Even that mysterious woman, who was shrouded by colorful mist, was among them. The yin warrior was like an ancient fossil, their entire body was covered by the armor. He was standing at the same spot without moving an inch. The ancient bronze spear in his hand emitted one after another brilliance. It gave a hard time for a few young experts. If it was not because the woman who was shrouded by colorful mist using the law of time to slow down its movement, those few people would already be in a dangerous situation. The solitary sword demon was showing off his ability like a sharp sword, and the sword in his hand even caused the space to distort. His long sword emitted a whistling sound. He was definitely the strongest among the group. Buddhist Asian seemed transcendental. When he was soaring in the sky, he seemed like the gods and Buddhas. Lotus flower light were actually floating in his immediate surrounding. His entire person was brimming with Buddha nature. Thousands of Buddha palm kept attacking that yin warrior. After he received enlightenment from the Buddha's eternal wheel, he had successfully transformed. He is not much weaker than solitary sword demon now. Xiao Chen and Lawrence walked forward with large strides. Their only hope for survival now is to work together. They decided to join the fighting group. They had no choice but to admit, the yin warrior was indeed very strong. Only one of them was able to resist 8 young experts, and it seemed like he was not very clear-headed. He definitely had a super terrifying strength. They were unable to read his state of mind. He looked like a stone statue no matter how they looked at him. One person fighting against 8 experts, and he was still as silent and indifferent as in the past. Overlapping space. Lawrence saw how the law of time slowed down the yin warrior. His pair of eyes immediately burned with passion. The void power surged up violently. When the power of space and time merged together, glaring rays of light burst out. It was more powerful than anyone could have imagined. Boom. The sound of something disintegrated could be heard. A little less than half of the yin warrior's ancient armor was actually burst open. Its sturdy body was exposed to the air. That bronze-colored skin emitted waves of black fog. Xiao Chen also made his move around this time. he jumped into the sky and swooped towards the Yin warrior. He launched the God Slayer technique without blinking an eyes. A few blazing divine radiance tore the space apart. At the same time, the solitary sword demon also waved his metal sword towards the Yin warrior. As for Buddhist Asian, he shot an incomparably huge Buddha palm forward. The Yin warrior felt dangers approaching. After a part of the armor had been cracked, most of his strength seemed to have dissipated. It waved the ancient bronze spear in its hand to resist the attacks. However, within this glaring rays of light, the remaining armor was thoroughly destroyed. The ancient bronze spear in his hand also snapped in half. His bronze-colored body was exposed to the air, and then his body actually began to age slowly. One after another hideous wrinkles emerged, even his muscles gradually started to wither. We finally encountered some living person, and not an evil spirit. The solitary sword demon's voice was very cold. It seemed like he encountered the evil spirits before. The claw marks on his body were very terrifying. The Yin warrior had an incomparably bewildered expression. It seemed like his soul was devoured. Following closely, that weak soul fluctuation in his body disappeared. After that, his sturdy body completely deteriorated. Only skin and bones were left in the end. Will-o-wisp flickered in his pair of eyes, and then an incomparably baleful aura burst out from his body. A practitioner said in surprise, "How did this happen?" He lost his life force, and it seemed like he transformed into an evil spirit. As soon as he finished speaking, a deep and low growl emitted from the Yin warrior's mouth. It seemed like he had obtained a new life, as he dashed towards everyone with a sinister look. Xiao Chen, who just fell from the sky, was the first to receive the attack. But Xiao Chen was not fearful at all. He had already seen the evil spirit before. As long as it was not those figures from the former residence, or those evil spirits with demonic item like the burial cloth, he should be able to handle ordinary evil spirit. He attacked with the God Slayer technique. It seemed as if both of his hands had transformed into heavenly blades. They were unstoppable and extremely sharp. The blazing rays of light were swung down, and chopped the corpse warrior's 2 arms in an instant. After that, Xiao Chen sent a roundhouse kick and destroyed the corpse warrior's head, sending him flying away. The corpse warrior was far weaker without the ancient armor. He was unable to threaten the practitioners at all. The solitary sword demon destroyed that headless corpse warrior with a single strike. The battle ended like this. Everyone understood after actual combat. If they wanted to kill the Yin warrior, they needed to destroy the armor first, otherwise they wouldn't stand a chance. The place became very quiet. All of them had a really ugly expression. After all, they were only able to kill one Yin warrior after cooperating as a group. And they saw more than hundreds of Yin warrior and celestial warrior when they entered the ghost town. If all of those warriors were to gang up on them, the consequences would be unthinkable. In addition to those evil spirits that came out from time to time, as well as those terrifying huge monsters, their situation didn't seem too bright. After all, there were too many monsters in this ghost town. The Yin warrior was far from the most threatening. Those unknown monsters were what they were most afraid of. Why did the Yin warrior possess life force, but once their armor was taken off, they would die immediately and transform into an evil spirit? One practitioner raised the question. This was also what puzzled everyone. We can tell the ancient city had existed since untold time, and those Yin warrior might have lived just as long. The reason they were able to live for so long might be because those armor was able to preserve their body in that condition all this time. Someone proposed this kind of idea. Even though it might not necessarily be true, it still made some sense. This made some people among them gave birth to some schemes. Should they plunder the Yin warrior's armor, or gather the broken ancient armor on the ground? But, without giving them the time to think, the earth suddenly produced a rumbling noise and shook violently. A frosty gale blew over, the building in the vicinity began to tremble, and the wretched fiendish aura surged up violently. The deep and low shriek resembled the explosive thunder that caused people's soul to tremble. Without any hesitation, all the practitioners rushed into an alley and evacuated from this ancient street. Just when they distanced themselves from that area, they could feel enormous monsters passing by. That area shook violently, as if an earthquake had just taken place. This is much more terrifying than the Yin warriors, and who knows how many more of these terrifying monsters are out there. Even if a god enter this ancient city, it's hard to say whether they can get out alive. One practitioner groaned in fear. He was already somewhat desperate. The mysterious woman who was shrouded in colorful mist advised everyone with her heavenly voice, "No matter what happens, do not attempt to hide in the former residence." Everyone nodded in consent, because many who entered the former residence never came out again. But Xiao Chen had a different feeling from everyone else. He did see a legendary immortal that was enshrined and worshipped in the mortal world with his own eyes after all. And he seemed to be the owner of that deadly residence. He felt the mysterious woman shrouded in colorful mist had also discovered this kind of secret. Squawk. Gloomy howls resounded above everyone's head. 3 skeleton birds were swooping towards them at high speed. They had skinny body and huge wings. They seemed very ferocious and menacing. Humph. These damnable thing again. The solitary sword demon snorted coldly. When he brandished his metal sword upward, the space distorted, as if it was about to break into pieces. A domain, created by his powerful force, was launched toward the sky. It emitted a powerful energy fluctuation, and enveloped 2 skeleton birds in an instant. After that, a bone-snapping sound transmitted outwards. The ghost's feathers filled the sky, shattered skeletal remains fell toward the ground. It was not hard to tell how powerful and terrifying was the solitary sword demon. It made Lawrence at the side couldn't help but admit the solitary sword demon was stronger than him. The other skeleton bird was pulled towards the ground by the giant Buddha's hand created by Buddhist Asian. It was then pulverized on the ground. The 3 skeleton birds were destroyed, but the mysterious woman shrouded in colorful mist helplessly cried out, "We might be in danger." Everyone raised their guards. Before the 3 skeleton birds attacked them just now, it seemed like they were calling out for help. Everyone quickly rushed towards an alley, wanting to leave this area as soon as possible, but it seemed like they were too late. There was no time for them to run. Waves of chilly wind swept down from the skies, a bone-chilling air enveloped everyone on the ground. The blood-colored sky was filled by the skeleton birds. They plunged towards the ground like a mass of black cloud. There were at least 1,000 of them altogether. How were they supposed to fight like this? Even if all of these evil spirits just dropped themselves towards the ground, it was already enough to drown everyone to death. Moreover, each one of them was just as ferocious. This is it, we're done for. One practitioner was in despair. In the end, he actually rushed into one of the former residences at the side. But, as soon as he entered, a miserable shriek resounded. Following that, the cracking sound of bones was transmitted outwards. It seemed like a monster was gnawing at the skeleton of the dead. Everyone's face turned pale. Nobody else dared to rush into the surrounding former residences. All the practitioners ran forward at high speed, wanting to get far away from the death threat coming from the sky. But, even the psychic and spell master capable of flight found that it was a fruitless effort. Those skeleton birds were really too fast. While producing waves of bone-chilling wind, they quickly outflanked the practitioners and cut off their path. The shadow and chilly wind were everywhere. The mournful sound made people's scalp feel numb, the chill even ran through their spine. Qingguang Wang, Yang Lua Wang, and Luan Hui Wang pulled the lower hem of Xiao Chen's shirt, then they pointed at the blood river in front. After that, the 3 of them broke themselves into pieces and mingled with the bones on the street. The 3 of them began to play dead. Must we plunge into the blood river? Xiao Chen thought out loud. There was no need to think much. It was obvious that the blood river was not a benevolent place. Maybe there would be even more ferocious ghosts in the river. However, there was no other way. He could only rush over there. The skeleton birds swooped down. Everyone began to suffer from the relentless attacks. One after another netherworld light spouted from their mouth and were launched toward everyone. Right now, all of them couldn't help but reveal their most powerful technique. Otherwise, they might perish right here and now. The woman shrouded in colorful mist used her law of time to stop the skeleton birds in the sky. The practitioners below sent one after another dazzling rays of light to rip apart those motionless monsters. After that, the solitary sword demon's sword chi also soared into the sky. After an invisible domain enveloped those damnable creatures, the sound of cracking bones reverberated unceasingly. The skeletal remains kept falling non-stop. Xiao Chen's God Slayer technique, Lawrence's law of space, and Buddhist Asian's divine ability were also exhibited to the fullest extent. The blazing rays of light soared into the sky unceasingly. One after another skeleton birds fell, but there was an endless stream of monsters. It was impossible to annihilate them all. Few of them were hit by the deathly rays. It left a terrifying wound on their body. Everyone attacked and retreated at the same time. They were gradually rushing towards the blood river not far away. The rapid blood river smelled incomparably fishy. Bloody mist pervaded the air. The smell of rotten corpse assailed everyone's nostrils. It seriously gave people the impulse to throw up the food they consumed the previous day. Where else could they run if they don't plunge into the river? One seriously wounded practitioner couldn't stand it anymore and jumped into the surging river first, but something frightening happened. As soon as he jumped into the river, a huge shadow quickly rushed over in the blood river. A demonic claw about the size of a millstone grabbed the practitioner. It snapped the practitioner in half on the surface of the water, and then it sunk into the blood river. This scene seriously scared everyone to death. All of them couldn't help but feel fearful. This scene was really too scary. They didn't see what was that creature at all, they only saw a huge demonic claw. The ghost town was really too frightening. Waves of chilly wind swept down from the skies. The 1,000+ skeleton birds were still swooping down non-stop, but nobody dared to jump into the blood river anymore. Right now, even Xiao Chen, Lawrence, and the solitary sword demon were wounded. As for Yang Qingcheng and Rowena, if not for the protection of the woman shrouded in colorful mist, they might be dead a long time ago. In regards to that mysterious woman, who could control the law of time, Xiao Chen felt a sense of déjà vu for some reason. But he didn't have the time to think about it at the moment. The evil spirits in the sky pushed him to the edge of danger. Under this kind of circumstances, his Godslayer technique became more and more refined. He was able to exhibit a terrifying power. The blazing divine radiance kept tearing the monsters in the sky. A large quantity of the skeleton bird's dismembered body already fell all around him. Bang! 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 The earth was shaking, even the buildings near the blood river were shaking. A huge monster walked over from a distant place. A huge shadow was cast on the ground. The earth trembled for a moment with each steps it took. That was indeed a terrifying giant demon. It was about 30 meters tall. Its humanoid body was covered by white bony scales. Only its head was not covered by the scale. A layer of dried skin was sticking close to the skull. What little yellow hair it had swayed with the wind. Its deep eye sockets were emitting bloody red radiance. It seemed incomparably cruel. And along his tailbone was a huge tail about 10 meters long. It was also covered in bony scales. It looked just like a huge crocodile tail. Along with his movement, the earth trembled violently. The demonic aura spread in all directions. Some skeleton birds in the vicinity were scared and flew higher into the sky. When it rains, it pours. This is the worst-case scenario for Xiao Chen and the rest. They were already caught up in a desperate strait due to 1,000+ skeleton birds, and now this kind of huge monster came. The situation seemed more hopeless than ever. Damn it. The conceited solitary sword demon couldn't help but let out a curse, because the feeling of fear rose in his heart. He felt death was fast approaching. It seemed like they really had no way out of this now. We're dead. There's no hope of survival. Someone already indulged in grief. Indeed, under this kind of circumstances, it seriously made people lose all hope. While killing the skeleton birds that swooped down unceasingly, Xiao Chen looked at everything calmly. He was not fearful in the face of death. He only felt regretful that he couldn't go explore the land of immortals. Are they going to die in this ancient city? He felt somewhat regretful and unwilling to die. The earth trembled violently. The 30-meter-tall demon already got in front of them. A huge shadow was casted on the ground. He tried to trample everyone with a sinister-looking face. Roar! All of a sudden, the dragon roar shook the heavens. A glaring golden explosion of light flashed through the sky. The dragons that are currently attacking the divine monolith at the core of the ancient city noticed the abnormal situation in this area. A monarch lion dragon with golden scales all over its body rushed over. It opened its mouth and spouted a golden ray. The blazing radiance made the practitioners unable to open their eyes. The mournful screech of ghosts resounded. Hundreds of skeleton birds fell from the sky. Their feathers fluttered about and danced in the sky. In the face of the king of dragons, the monarch lion dragon, all the skeleton birds flew off like rockets. And that 30-meter-tall demon was also dominated by the monarch lion dragon's intimidating aura. It stopped its footstep. The monarch lion dragon let out another roar. A golden rain of light fell from the sky. Its target was the gigantic demon. The rain of light was as terrifying as unstoppable sword chi. The huge demon had no other choice but to fall back at lightning speed. However, it seemed like the monarch lion dragon did not plan to let him go. It suddenly swooped down from the sky. A streak of enormous golden ray cuts through the void like lightning. Everyone felt their vision blurred. After that, they heard a loud splashing sound. The billows from the blood river soared into the sky. The monarch lion dragon actually swept the huge demon into the blood river. When the demon let out a mournful screech, bubbles surfaced on the blood river as if it was boiling. The demon struggled violently. It seemed like a monster was pulling his huge body into the river. The bloody waves rolled over and over. It finally calmed down after a while. That 30-meter huge demon was silenced in the blood river. The monarch lion dragon in the sky coldly swept its eyes across the young practitioners. But it didn't attack them. The reason it rushed over here was to wipe out the evil spirits. In the end, the majestic monarch lion dragon flickered with golden radiance, and ran towards the core of the ancient city in the sky. Not far away, the three skeletons slowly reassembled their framework, and exercised their joints. The survivors were in a dreamy state, to find a way out from a desperate strait. All of them were brimming with joy. However, their smiles were frozen again in the next instant, because a gloomy fiendish aura pressed towards this place once more. Qingguang Wang, Yang Lua Wang, and Luanhui Wang were extremely fast at this moment. They reassembled their framework with a clattering sound, and then rushed beside Xiao Chen in the blink of an eye. At a distant place, 50-plus Yin warriors adorned with the ancient armor were closing in one step at a time. Although the bronze and iron spear in their hands were rusty, they still contained a skyrocketing murderous aura. It was as if they had vowed to massacre anything in their paths, even if it was a dragon king. And behind the Yin warriors, there was another 50 celestial warriors. They were also wearing similar ancient armor that carried the vicissitudes of time. They looked almost like an ancient fossil. The killing intent was similarly skyrocketing. Everyone did not know how powerful was the celestial warrior, but they had already experienced the strength of the Yin warrior. And now so many of the Yin warriors and celestial warriors had come together, it was impossible for them to resist. Moreover, the eyes of these celestial warriors and Yin warriors were very clear. This means that they are very clear-headed. The Yin warriors they killed earlier were far from comparable to these warriors. It was very possible that any of these celestial warriors and Yin warriors could wipe the floor with them. Xiao Chen lamented inwardly. This is really a ghost town. Even if the deity ventured too deeply, they might not be able to leave without a hitch. Let's run. Someone shouted. All of them ran forward along the ancient street. Facing this many celestial warriors and Yin warriors head-on was equivalent to suicide. It was not only the celestial warrior and Yin warrior that were closing in. Those skeleton birds that were scattered by the monarch lion dragon started to gather together and flew towards this region once more. Even the spellmaster and psychic had no other choice but to fly at low altitude, otherwise they'd be sitting ducks for the several hundreds of skeleton birds. Xiao Chen and the rest were running quickly on the ancient street. This moment was indeed a great escape with their life on the line. Even though the Yin warrior and celestial warrior's pace were not fast, they still closed in the distance with ease, as if they possessed the ground shrink ability. The skeleton birds in the sky were increasing in numbers. Already a few hundreds were assembled. They started to launch their attacks on Xiao Chen and the gang again. At the same time, evil spirits lingering with black fog rushed out from the alleys every now and then. God knows just how powerful were these evil spirits. They also gathered in the same place and chased after the group of practitioners. At the central zone, the divine monolith trembled violently. The entire ancient city shook slightly. And the door of many former residences also opened with creaking sounds at this time. That was a very bad signal. It seemed like the monsters that always remained idle until now were finally making their move. At the same time, waves of trembling sound transmitted from a distant place. It sounded like the stampede of numerous huge monsters. At this moment, the baleful aura in the ancient city skyrocketed. The deathly aura filled the air. All the evil spirits became restless. Xiao Chen and the rest felt they were caught up in a desperate strait. If this goes on, where else could they run to? It was only a matter of time until they were wiped out. The cry of a young dragon transmitted over. That's right. It was a soft and immature cry. That was obviously the cry of a young dragon. With a flash of purple light, a 1-meter-long young dragon rushed over. It was shrouded by purple clouds. Its appearance was very much identical to the legendary Qilin. It possessed a deer-like and horse-like body, 4 wolf-like feet, and dragon scales, but it also possessed some distinctive differences from the legendary Qilin. It had a crocodile-shaped divine tail. The resplendent purple radiance was glorious, its scales were gorgeous, and the pair of amethyst horn on the side of its head resembled the antler. Its head looked just like the legendary ancestral dragons. It was actually the Amethyst Dragon King. Many practitioners here had once encountered this little dragon. And Yang Qingcheng, along with Carlos and Wharton, even tried to ambush this syndicate Dragon King. But they still failed to subdue it in the end. Although the young Amethyst Dragon King was only 1 meter long, it emitted a powerful dragon chi. It possessed a pressure worthy of the king of the beast. It looked at everyone vigilantly, and then cheerfully ran beside the mysterious woman shrouded in colorful mist. It intimately rubbed against the side of the mysterious woman. This outcome made everyone stupefied. The Amethyst Dragon King was actually subdued by her. That was but the first Dragon King they encountered on this dragon island. It might be the very first Syndicate Dragon King to be born. That means it might be the young ancestral dragon's most powerful adversary. So much so that it might even take down the young ancestral dragon and replace it. If it can grow up smoothly, it will definitely become a terrifying existence that even the god don't dare to provoke. The young Amethyst Dragon King turned around and ran forward. It seemed to be guiding the mysterious woman shrouded in colorful mist. "Everyone follow me." The mysterious woman's angelic voice transmitted outwards, then she ran after the Amethyst Dragon King. The monsters and evil spirit behind them continued the chase, and as for those skeleton birds in the sky that saw the young Syndicate Dragon King, they started to hesitate. They were afraid of drawing the attention of those fully grown dragons behind the young Dragon King. The Yin warriors and celestial warriors did not stop, and those evil spirits covered by black fog were even more fearless. They also quickly closed in. The Amethyst Dragon King suddenly turned its body around. Purple divine flame pulsed all over its body, then it let out a roar towards the evil spirits at the rear. Although its gentle cry was soft and immature, when it gets angry, the roar was as ear-splitting as the sudden clap of thunder that resounded in the heavens. It caused those evil spirits to slow down their footsteps in the twinkling of an eye. The Amethyst Dragon King's appearance made them recall some ancient memories. Everyone had noticed, the young Amethyst Dragon King actually led everyone to the vicinity of the divine monolith. It caused many evil spirits to stop advancing as a result. Only the Yin warriors and celestial warriors chased after them with a pace that was not too slow nor too fast. Can this Dragon King be trusted? Someone raised a question. The young Amethyst Dragon King turned its head around to take a glimpse at the practitioner, and let out a growl. It was very sensitive to sound, and possessed expressions like that of a human. This made Xiao Chen thought about Keek. That adorable little beast couldn't still be sleeping, right? Let's hope nothing bad happened to it. If we don't believe it now, then what other choice do we have? Someone refuted. You guys just keep moving, it will not do harm to us. The mysterious woman shrouded in colorful mist had a really gentle voice. While advancing, as if she was flying, she gently caressed the dragon horn of the Amethyst Dragon King. How did you subdue it? Someone finally couldn't resist and asked. One must know many people originally planned to subdue this Amethyst Dragon King. But all of them failed in the end. The mysterious woman was flabbergasted as she said, I have never subdued it. I only treated it as a friend. That's why it would frequently appear beside me when we were at the mountain woods out there. But I never thought it also entered the ancient city. It seemed to be showing us the way now. The practitioners looked at each other in dismay when that heard what she said. The mysterious woman had such a pure characteristic. She actually obtained the trust of the Amethyst Dragon King like this. It seriously made people jealous and envious of her. But some people were not convinced. If not for the Dragon King, then for what reason would she enter the Dragon Island? I wonder why you guys were always at each other's neck, especially you, solitary sword demon. If I didn't stop you several times, you might have killed even more. The mysterious woman had some complaints for the solitary sword demon. These words caused to other practitioners to feel amazed. Could this girl really be that pure-hearted? Could she really be an oddball from some noble family? Even though they have their doubts, they didn't think about it too much. It is more important to run for their life now. Humph. The solitary sword demon only gave a snort in return. Xiao Chen felt all the more familiar with this mysterious woman, but he just couldn't recall where he met her before. For he had seen many female practitioners on this dragon island, perhaps she was among one of them. As they were talking, everyone had already been led by the young Amethyst Dragon King to the vicinity of the divine monolith. But of course, the so-called vicinity was a place where the energy rays couldn't reach. Rays of light flickered in front of them, the Buddha's eternal wheel, brass trigrams, etc. was still bombarding the divine monolith. High up in the sky, there were even more dragons. This video will end here.